Hi boys and girls, Dr. D here. Last week we talked about George Gershwin's very famous abridged version of Rhapsody in Blue, probably one of the most famous pieces in the concert repertoire. And the version I played for you again was shortened and written by George Gershwin for piano. The piece actually was premiered as a piano and jazz band work by Paul Whitman. I want to spend just a few minutes before we go on to another work by George Gershwin talking about the elements of music in the Rhapsody in Blue. For example, this begins with a trill. Things happening here. This is a very famous clarinet. This trill is done by the clarinet in the band. It's a very famous place. And then you have lots of things happening in the rhythm. You have a long note, a half note. Then you have triplets. Then you have eighth notes. It's a quick flurry. So you have a lot of rhythmic values going on. And then you have what's very characteristic of jazz, you have syncopation. Again, syncopation is very important rhythmic characteristic in jazz. Now, one other place that's very rhythmically complex, I want to play a portion of it for you, which shows some classical influences, but also a lot of jazz because the rhythm is very complicated. Complicated rhythmic structure there, which is again very typical of jazz. And then one of the greatest melodies, remember melody in music is the tune, the part that you can sing. One of the great melodies in pop music is this one that Gershwin wrote in the middle of the Rhapsody in Blue. Very famous. Now we're going to talk about another piece of music that George Gershwin wrote that became very famous as well and is still very famous today. He wrote a song called I've Got Rhythm, and he wrote the song for a show called Girl Crazy. His brother Ira Gershwin wrote the lyrics. They often did this together. George would write the music, Ira would write the words. So this was originally written as a song, but Gershwin actually created a piano transcription of it. Remember, piano transcription is something that is written piano alone, that the composer tries to bring all the voices in. So I'm going to play for you I've Got Rhythm. This is a piano version by George Gershwin. piece was originally a song, and is still sung by many singers today, I'm going to give you 2 YouTube examples, and I'll print them in the Google Classroom under the video, so you'll be able to find them easily. I'm going to give you 2 examples of singers doing this song. One example is Judy Garland. Now, I don't know if your generation saw the original Wizard of Oz, but Judy Garland was the little girl in the Wizard of Oz, an extraordinary voice. And in her version of I've Got Rhythm, you're going to hear the introduction. And that's something you don't hear in Gershwin's piano transcription, but you'll hear an introduction, and then when she gets to the I Got Rhythm part, the refrain part, you'll hear her singing it, and in the middle, there's this wonderful, wonderful piano solo. I'd really like you to listen to that, and lots of different colors from the instruments, but the solo there is wonderful. And then she comes back and winds up the song. So that's Judy Garland, the young woman that was in The Wizard of Oz. Now, there is another singer that I don't know as much about. I believe that she's much younger than Judy Garland. Judy Garland is, of course, is deceased now. Her name is Yiki Yanofsky, and she's doing I've Got Rhythm, but a good portion of it is scat singing, which is a very important feature in jazz. You're going to hear her singing lots of quick rhythms using syllables, neutral syllables, and she has a wonderful band playing with her. So please listen to these 2 musical examples because they both show different things. Judy Garland, very different style, great piano solo, and Yiki Yanofsky showing you about scat singing and a good jazz band. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good week. Bye-bye. This is Dr. D.